Hello and welcome to today's video. Today is the first review of one of the major pens that I got in Japan, and this is one of the most unusual as well. It is from this brand, which is Fumisome, which is made for Tag in Kyoto. I had done some research before I went and looking for interesting pens, and I'd seen this one. I should say, I know the brand from their inks, and I've been using their inks for a while, and I love them. And when I remembered that they made a pen, I looked into it, and I thought that's actually something that I'm super keen on having a look at. And so today we're going to look at that pen. It is the Gentle Fountain Pen. It is interesting. It's got some unique things about it. Not perfect, but it'll we'll get to that. Anyway, this is the way it comes packaged. Nice simple cardboard, really nice print on the cardboard, and that opens up, and it's similar to sort of their inks as well. They have really cool packaging. You can see that a lot of the instructions are in there. It came wrapped in this really lovely interesting piece of like paper, and with a bit more information in there. Tag is a range of stationery stores in Kyoto, primarily, I think, and they work with brands like Oto, and they have Fumisome, and they make products. And the pen today is this. So this is the Fumisome Gentle Fountain Pen. Now, this is interesting. It is deer leather. So for those of my vegan friends, this may not be the one for you, but it's coated. It's a brass pen coated in deer leather. So I'm going to talk about the parts and features. We'll do a writing sample, pros and cons, all that kind of stuff. Top of the pen is where we get the Fumisome logo in the brass, and that's already starting to patina. I've been using this pen for a couple of months now. I'm on the second or third fill of it. And you can see it's starting to develop a little bit of patina on the barrel. So that's hand oils, that's life, that's going to be what, you can expect. It will slightly change color, it will, that's just that. A little few marks on the cap and things. I don't mind that little ink stain. It's an organic product. Remember, leather is organic. It doesn't wash at the same way as plastic, or it doesn't clean the same way as some of these other materials. So if you get things on it, it's going to be on it. And I like that because that shows my life on the pen. It's an incredibly soft leather. And it's been really interesting to use. The leather is wrapped around, and you can see a seam that runs down the pen, and you can see it opening up a couple of points on the seam. That's one issue I have, is the fact that, how long will this, how durable will this be over time? And that comes down, and then that goes over the join, and then we get the rest of the leather over the pen, and then a brass end. It is a screw cap pen, and it comes off in almost 3 turns. So it's quite a lot of turns. And they are metal threads on brass, so it is a little bit sort of noisy and clunky. And you see that the leather comes down over those, and that's where it sits over the barrel there. Once you unscrew the cap, you get brass threads, brass section that sort of tapers ever so slightly, and then a small nib. It looks like a Schmidt nib, or something similar, maybe Yovo, but it's a smaller nib. I have it in a fine gold colored nib, and there's the feed. It is a cartridge converter pen. It comes with a Schmidt converter, which is lovely. And it's all brass on the inside, nice brass threads, all that kind of stuff. It's very well made. The core of the pen is quite nice, it's all brass, and it's, sturdy and robust, and then it's just coated with this really interesting deer leather. And there are a couple of different variations on the leather that you can get. I went into a couple of the Tag stores, and in one of them is where I found this. This was the only one they had, and I actually really liked it. If you have watched my channel, my color scheme, if you will, is black, navy, and gray. So I have quite a lot of gray, and it's more green is coming in as well, but this is the nice sort of soft gray sort of leather. You can see the Fumisome name there sort of embossed into the leather. It's not a huge pen, and it doesn't post. It's just not built for that. It's in slightly narrower section, but it feels comfortable enough in the hand. Smaller nib, not a big pen. But, it's a comfortable pen, and it is most definitely an interesting pen. Now, I don't have any other leather pens in my collection to compare it to, but I've got it alongside the standard Lamy Safari there. You can see it is a shorter pen. It's definitely on the smaller side. Uncapped, once again, slightly smaller. Once again, not a big nib. The grip section on the Lamy is slightly wider, but also the Lamy does post, which gives it that extra available length. The Fumisome pen is definitely on the smaller side. So what are the dimensions of the Fumisome Gentle Fountain Pen in deer leather? Well, it is 130 millimeters when it is capped. It's 124 when it's uncapped. So it's an okay usable length. Like, if you've got really big hands, it might sit slightly further down in your hand, but generally speaking, it's perfectly fine. I've used this for short notes, long writing sessions, and you know, I've written out lyrics with it, all that kind of stuff, which is why also it's starting to get a bit of sort of a natural sort of patina. That's just from use. You know, you can see, you know, the leather changing color. Look, it does. An issue is for me is that it starts to look a little bit grubby. But I think after a while, that leather will really sort of settle in and patina, and it will just show its age really nicely. So let's do a writing sample now. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper. And here we have the Fumisome. Call it the Gentle Fountain Pen. With a number 5 steel fine nib. The ink in this today is Fumisome, and it's my favorite of their inks. I think they've got a range of maybe 4. There's a blue, there's and a yellow as well. I can't remember what else is there. Maybe a reddy sort of color. And this one is chlorophyll, if I've spelled that correctly. Now, so the Fumisome inks are made using natural ingredients and things as well. So they've got a really interesting sort of, obviously, organic sort of feel about the brand. So there's a lot of feedback on this nib, like a lot of feedback. There is a slight little bit of bounce to it, which is interesting. It's not the wettest, but it's also not a super wet ink. It's not a particularly saturated ink. So I think in terms of wetness, it's actually doing a fairly nice job with this ink. Reverse writing, almost not possible. Like, nothing is coming out. Fast writing. It's a bit sharp, the nib, so it tends to sort of like grip a little bit, which is where that sort of feedback comes in. It's not scratchy, but you know, it's not the best for fast writing, but it does write nicely, sort of primarily under its own weight. You know, obviously this isn't the darkest, you know, most contrasty ink to show that off, but it is writing quite nicely. It's been consistent, reliable. There's no issue with the cap seal or anything like that. It's just a really interesting pen, and one that I'm enjoying using for its interest sake, and also the memory of buying it in Japan. So when I looked at this pen online before I went to Japan, I noticed the price was considerably higher than what I ended up paying for it. I ended up paying, well, the tag on the back here says 198, or 19,800 yen. I end up paying about 18,900, so a little bit less, which equates to roughly the 190 to 200 Australian dollars. So it's not an inexpensive pen for a basic cartridge converter pen brass body, but what you're paying for is firstly a unique brand. This is a brand that doesn't produce stuff that's like super widely out there. A few retailers carry it, but it is primarily made for Tag. Like, all the branding says Tag stationery and all that kind of stuff, and there's where it says the Gentle Fountain Pen up there. But yeah, Fumisome.jp. It's a really interesting brand. It's also got leather on it, a natural product that takes hand doing. So you're paying for things like that just as much as you're paying for a pen that actually writes, and writes relatively well. So what are my pros and cons? Firstly, I'm going to say the nib could do with some work. I haven't touched this nib up yet, but I think I could probably smooth it out, make it just a little bit more pleasant. Also, the pen doesn't post. There's no clip, no roll stop. So for those people who need those things, this is not going to be the pen for you. The other issue I have is how durable is this going to be? You know, like, will this leather start to come off? Can I just reattach it using like an adhesive myself? You know, that is, part of it. Another thing for some people will be the fact that the leather does age. It's a natural product. If you've got hand oils, if you get ink on it, you get marks on it, like, it's going to change. It's going to change color. It'll change under light. All those kinds of things. For me, that's a pro, because that's its life. And I don't buy my pens to sit around in a cupboard. Like, I don't have a single pen from $2 to $2,000 that I have not used, with the exception of a couple of vintage pens that, but that's another issue. But in terms of my modern pens that I buy them to use them. And this is one of those. I've been using this a lot. It has sat in my hand a lot. It's going to pick those things up. It will pick up little marks from ink, all those kinds of things. So just keep that aware. Also, when you're inking the pen, make sure you don't have the leather anywhere near the bottle. When you're cleaning the pen, try not to get the leather wet. Take it all apart, put it aside, clean the brass bits, and you can polish those brass bits up if you want to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's great. I think the weight and the balance of it is nice. It's a pleasant pen to write with. It's good. And then a couple of other things. Firstly, it's unique. There's not a whole lot of pens like this on the market. There are a lot of pens that use leather components, even down at brands like Faber-Castell, and, they use leather. But this is an interesting one. And, for me, it's unique. And for me, it holds a nice place because, it's another souvenir of a trip that I was able to make and, enjoy. And I remember being in the store. I remember seeing it. I remember talking to the staff. And that's kind of nice. Like, I didn't just go and buy it on Amazon. This was bought in store in Japan, so I really, really like that. So this was the Fumisome Gentle Fountain Pen. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel, I would really love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.